Because my understanding was nobody gets into politics without becoming part of the Bilderberg group. And then you find out afterwards that that is the case, that they have...
Well, yeah, well, Bill Clinton went there in 91, George Bush Sr. back in like 85.
And Blair, same thing. Who we think that we're electing as leaders have already been pre-picked for us. Whether it's liberal or a conservative, they're already part of the group.
They own all the horses in the race.
Jim, my governor, Rick Perry, it's in the front of the Dallas Morning News. The headline reads, Texas Governor Rick Perry to attend Bilderberg. What does it mean to have the governor of Texas in the Dallas Morning News just admitting he's going to Bilderberg Group?
It means he's a potential president, even as the obscure governor of Arkansas, Bill Clinton, lost his virginity at the Bilderberg meeting in Baden-Baden, Germany in 1991. And he's elected president the following year. Now, if he goes nowhere in a run for the White House in the years ahead, they'll drop him like an old shoe. They do that often. But officially, Bilderberg considers Governor Rick Perry a potential president of the United States. Yes, it's a violation of the Logan Act, for which Bill Clinton's White House was fined $300,000, which means the taxpayers paid it. Yes, it's a violation of the Logan Act, for which Bill Clinton's White House was fined $300,000, which means the taxpayers paid it.
Under the Logan Act, it is a felony offense for any member of the federal or state government to meet with members of a foreign government without the express authority and authorization of the President or Congress. Put simply, it is illegal for members of the government to meet secretly behind closed doors with foreign power brokers due to the problems of corruption and espionage that it breeds.
Mr. Perry, last question. We saw in the news that you attended the Bilderberg meeting. I'm just curious, what exactly goes on there that is so closed doors?
I have no idea. You know, I was invited to come and speak, and that's what I told him. I said, I have no idea what's so secret about this. I talked about energy policy.
So you didn't stay there for the rest of their meeting, or?
Oh, I heard probably, I don't know, a number of the speeches, but there wasn't anything there was no conspiracy going on that I saw. Matter of fact, all I did was get in a big fight with a lady about global warming.
And just one last question along those lines, and we're running out of time. When you took the job as head of the Republican Governors Association, did you have to make a commitment that you would not run for president?
Oh, I've made that commitment every time I've been asked, and that commitment still stands. I don't want to be the President of the United States. I do want to work with these governors across the country to make the states more pivotal, more powerful, as they should be.
Before the 2010 election, KVUE sat down with Governor Rick Perry and asked him point blank, would he run for president?
No.
Would you accept the nomination as a vice presidential candidate?
No.
No, no, and no.
No, no, and no.
Rick Perry's actions speak louder than words. Everything he's done so far tells the world, I'm running for president. And our inside sources confirm that's exactly what he's planning to do. That's right. Texas Governor Rick Perry has announced that he's running for the Republican nomination for president in 2012. And you're hearing it here first at Infowars.com. Now, as the world media tunes in to this video, they're saying, well, where else do we have this information? Well, you see, officially, Rick Perry hasn't announced that he's running for president. But in the real world, he has. And I want to talk about that right now. Almost 4 years ago, I released a film called Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, where we predicted that Rick Perry would be running for president coming up in 2012.
Now, Jim, my governor, Rick Perry, it's in the front of the Dallas Morning News. The headline reads, Texas Governor Rick Perry to attend Bilderberg. What does it mean to have the governor of Texas in the Dallas Morning News just admitting he's going to Bilderberg Group?
It means he's a potential president. Officially, Bilderberg considers Governor Rick Perry a potential president of the United States.
And he indeed is now positioning himself for that. You see, he told you that he had a pledge that he was not going to run for president in 2012, but now he's rethinking that pledge. To go through all the data is mind-boggling, but bottom line here, we have sources inside Fox News. We have sources inside Rick Perry's security detail. After all, I live here in Austin, Texas, been on the radio and TV for 16-plus years, and we've known that for more than a decade, Rick Perry has been groomed to run for president by none other than Karl Rove, who back in the mid-1990s got him to flip from Democrat to Republican. And he was in that same stable as Senator Graham, of course, later President Bush, and now Governor Rick Perry. And so it was Karl Rove who basically put him in the position he is today. The inside baseball from sources in media, Texas Monthly, Fox News, inside the Perry camp, including people that work not just in his security, but in his office. Everything from day one has been about Rick Perry being president. And now the media is saying he is the front runner, even when he has not even announced yet. So Rick Perry let us know that he had announced for president with the establishment, with the people that bankroll presidential candidates when he went to Bilderberg in 2007. And we were on the scene documenting the fact that Rick Perry was basically there begging to be the heir apparent and that he was chosen. The modern political manipulators are masters at building up a candidate as the answer to all your problems. Everybody was mad at George W. Bush. So here comes Barack H. Obama, financed by the very same Wall Street interest. We are on record calling it, that Rick Perry would be positioned to run for president. And now it's happening. But he plays the part of this reluctant candidate. Oh, dear, I've put out the presidential book of Fed Up. Oh, dear, I'm going to all the big conservative conferences and talking about how much I love Jesus. Oh, dear, I don't want to run. And then Rush Limbaugh and all the other big kingmakers come out and say, come on, Perry, we're drafting you. You've got to do it. You're the only one that will save us. The whole thing is 100% scripted. So let's look at Rick Perry's record. We already talked about the fact that he was a Democrat who was flipped by Karl Rove. But since then, as he rose up through Texas politics to the governorship, we have seen a extremely duplicitous politician in an overall field of lying scallywags. He is a master manipulator. Let's fast forward to 2007. The incumbent governor travels to Bilderberg to be vetted by the global elite, just as Bill Clinton, the obscure Arkansas governor, traveled there in 1991 to then be catapulted in 1992 and 93 to the presidency of the United States. A few years later, the obscure, even more obscure, member of parliament, Tony Blair, went to Bilderberg, bowed down before them, pledged to push England into the European Union. He becomes the new heir apparent and is put in as British Prime Minister. Well, Rick Perry had studied history, and his advisors had explained to him that bowing down to the globalists was key, and he'll ensure that somebody like Ron Paul, who doesn't have the fancy hair of Rick Perry, but has the constitutionalist record, is defeated. If you so-called rhino conservatives buy into Rick Perry, you get what you deserve. So there you have it. Rick Perry has announced he's running for president. I've got it from inside his campaign, and all his actions announce he's running. But he even betrayed you in that. This guy's like the devil, saying, I pledge I'll never run for president. Now, oh, I rethought my pledge. And another chapter we'll tell later is all the dirt on Rick Perry that the establishment is going to use to blackmail him.
And then the last two selections, which they call elections, and then the last two selections, which they call elections, and then the last two selections, which they call elections, and then the last two selections, which they call elections, never did anything for me.
We like to say in this country that we have the ability as Americans to elect. But the problem is we do not have the ability to select. We can only elect, which means that we can only vote for those candidates which are put before us by our masters. We like to say in this country that we have the ability as Americans to elect. But the problem is we do not have the ability to select. We can only elect, which means that we can only vote for those candidates which are put before us by our masters, our hidden masters behind the scenes. And when you understand that the Democratic and the Republican Party are financed, and believe me, in this world, money is the bottom line. If you have it or if you don't. And the Democratic and the Republican Party are financed and organized and directed by the same banking families. The same people who finance your banks are the same people who finance your institutions of government.
Aaron Dykes, give us a report on this, and we'll document Cam over there where you're at as well, so people can see the articles you've got. Break down Lord Kane for us.
Look, as a politician, he's being sold as another phony outsider independent. Not true. He owes his whole career to the Skull and Bones Pillsbury cartel family, and that's not an independent business. That destroys independent business, contributes to bad health and all the rest of it.
And Pillsbury is total pimp level. They're right at the top.
But remember, in 2008 presidential race, John McCain didn't have a polls. He didn't even show up in the polls until Giuliani dropped out. Then suddenly he rose to prominence. They have these people waiting in the wings. Palin's waiting in the wings. People like Herman Cain are waiting in the wings if they can't sell Perry and the rest of them. Now, Herman Cain himself started at the Department of the Navy, then worked for the...
By the way, that's where they get their top minions, is out of the Navy, and they sheep dip them into intelligence from that. That's a big point right there.
That's right. Then he worked for the Coca-Cola Company as a business analyst.
Totally selected.
Congressman, are you feeling the dread that many of us are feeling right now?
Yes, I do, but I don't think it's brand new. I didn't wake up with it. I've had it for a while. I don't think the election was a surprise, but the rhetoric is getting pretty strong, and they are getting very bold. I think McCain was obviously backup candidate in case something happened where Obama didn't win. They'd have been satisfied with McCain. But they've been positioning Obama for a long, long time. He's a man of the people, and yet he was the first guy to spend, more money than anybody else. He probably spent more money than everybody else put together in these last 2 years, and that was, on the books it's about $750 million. But when you look at all the free stuff and you look at all the things that have gone on in the last 3 or 4 years, I consider the fact that he's probably had a $2 billion campaign. But we have to realize this started a long time before he even announced to be president. If anybody who would have gotten that much favorable coverage for so long, you know that the plans are laid for him to be the individual that is going to be taking care of the corporate elite. You know that the plans are laid for him to be the individual that is going to be taking care of the corporate elite.